Hey guys, welcome into College Sportscast. We are with you tonight to do a Music City Bowl preview with NFL Outdated. Andy from NFL Outdated is on with us, and we want to welcome him to the show. We appreciate him being on with us and kind of doing a cross promo show here. So, hey Andy, how are you tonight?
Doing well. Thanks for inviting me. I definitely, anytime we get to talk to about football and go on other shows, I love the collaboration. Love it.
Cool. We appreciate you being on with us. I also have both of my John Roberts.
What's up?
And John Hammond.
What's up?
What's up, man?
You guys ready to talk a little Music City Bowl?
Yeah, let's go.
All right. We're going to open up with keys to the game is how we're going to open the preview. And I'll start with Andy, I guess, tonight. He's the guest. We'll let him kind of go first. And we'll keys to the game. Andy, what do you think?
Yeah, well, I really think it's, nationally, everyone's talking about this could be a low-scoring game. It may be, right? Especially with Iowa's defense. They're missing some key, players and everything like that. But, we got Tory Taylor, arguably the best punter in the nation. I think that's going to be a key. And also, we get Sam Laporta for Iowa coming back. It's going to be an interesting game. And obviously, I'm sure we'll get into this. Both teams missing a lot of key players. I go back and forth what I think about that, but I think this is a really good opportunity for young players that are excited, to really step up and see what they can do. It's almost like when you kind of watch the NBA, they're players that are they're kind of established, so the game seems a little slower compared to like college basketball. Like they're trying hard all the time. And I feel like, it's going to be a scrappy game. I think you see a lot of these younger players for both teams trying to compete and, end the year on a high note. So, but really I think it's going to come down to Iowa's defense and Tory Taylor, how well he, puts Iowa's defense in a good position.
All right. John Hammonds, what do you think are going to be keys to the game?
I think, with the quarterback situation with Kentucky, they got three guys that they're probably going to play, Keaton Wade, Kai Sharon, and I'm not sure, maybe Deuce
Hogan, who was actually at Iowa last year.
Yeah, he played at Iowa. I'm not sure he even gets in. I'm not even sure Deuce gets to play in this game. If I'm Kentucky, I don't know. Kentucky's missing Chris Rodriguez. They'll have two of their receivers, but they don't have the throwing capabilities like they would with Levis. If I'm Kentucky, I just run the football all night. And I think that's what's going to happen. I think Iowa might do the same thing. I think this is going to be a fairly fast game, and this game will probably be over pretty quick. That's just my opinion. So,
all right.
Which both defenses are really good. Iowa's they're ranked high in the top 20 in defense, and Kentucky's probably ranked in the top 30. So, I think special teams would be a big play in this game too. Punts. I made a joke about it when we first got the matchup that there'll be 30, 40 or 50 punts every other play. Like, it's Iowa, Kentucky,
Right, absolutely.
But at the same time, Iowa's gotten better, especially in the transfer portal. This recent off season, well, not off season, but this part of the year, they got the good quarterback Cade from Michigan and got a few solid players. So Iowa's looking good for next year, in my opinion.
Yeah, that's definitely the hope. Yeah. That's definitely the hope as far as that way. I do kind of piggybacking on that. I do agree it's going to be a running game. Iowa's got, Caleb Johnson, true freshman, and LaShawn Williams. Those two are they're going to rely on that. But really, they've got 3 scholarship wide receivers. Really, everyone else is either transferred or they're out. So Nico Reganey has been a mainstay with Iowa. You'll see him. His name called a lot, and then also Sam Laporta. And you talk about quarterbacks. Iowa actually, their starting quarterback has been injured, and then their backup entered the transfer portal. So they got a quarterback who is Joe Labas, who has not thrown a single pass. So you're going to see him. And when you have like a young quarterback, I see like a lot of times the tight end can be a safety valve. So you're going to see that, but I agree. I mean, this could be over pretty quick as far as time wise. I mean, Brian Ferentz is shown to kind of. I mean, they want to grind out the game, so it'll be interesting to see how some of the younger players mix in. But with what they have, coming back, I think that's definitely going to be key.
All right, John Roberts, what do you say about the keys to the game?
Well, if your first key to the game is talking about your punter, then we all know everything is in great shape. We know that everything is happening so smoothly that there's going to be so much offense. And
hey, flipping the field, man, flipping the field.
That's right. That's right. So the beginning, when you start out with the keys to the game, the punter.
Hey, punters are people too. All right.
Hey, I know, but to have that to be the first key to the game, you're already you're setting the tone for the rest of the game. So, but I mean, look, I agree. I'm really just here to see how many ways Iowa can score, and maybe like how many ways they can they can have combinations to get to 7 points. That don't include scoring a touchdown with an extra point.
Well, I'll tell you, I'll give you some of my keys. So I've got really 3 or 4 listed here, but first of all, I think Kentucky turnovers versus Iowa takeaways is going to be a key in this game. Kentucky without Will Levis and very questionable offensive line that has plagued this team basically all season long. And we will see if bowl prep and practices, if they've had a chance to fix any of that. They did fire the offensive coordinator. So maybe they've had a chance to fix some of the line issues that they have had. We'll see. I think we'll find out pretty quickly in the first quarter, because my next point to this game is UK line versus a very stout front four from Iowa defense. They rank 4th nationally in yards given up a game, and they are 6th nationally in points allowed per game. So, and their front four has 25 or 26 sacks for the season. I seen it earlier. I want to say it was 25. It might have been 26. It's one of the two. Their front four is a very stout front four. They have 3 players with +6 sacks for the season. And Kentucky's offensive line has not been good. So I think that is a key to the game. And then my last key to the game is UK. If they allow 165 yards or less, they are 7-0 on the season. If they allow 165 yards or more, they are 0-5.
Wow. Is this running the ball?
Running the ball. This is rushing yards, okay?
Gotcha.
Iowa has only rushed for plus 165 yards in 2 games all season. 2 games. That's all they've rushed for plus 165. So I think that one of the keys in allowing Iowa to rush. If they let them rush for above 165 yards, it is not a good sign for Kentucky. So those are my three keys to the game. Sitting and looking at some of this, I think that those are – I do agree with the punt with Andy, and I have special teams listed. I was going to talk about him a little bit later. I do think that the punting issue is going – the special teams part of it. I mean, they have one of the best punters in the nation. I think he was second team All-American, or he was something like that. But he's one or two of the best punters in the nation. So I kind of agree with that. And Roberts, yes, if we're talking about punting, and I'll give you this, Iowa won a ball game 7-3 without scoring a touchdown.
Yes.
Don't
mention who it was against either, please.
I think it was 7-5.
It was yeah. Don't match. Yeah, 7-5.
Was it 7? So they had a safety too.
I thought it was 7-3.
That's a baseball.
Let me go back what it was. I've kind of blocked that game out. It was the first game of the season.
That's a baseball score with 5.
It was
7-3.
So it was 7-3.
Yep. 7-3 without no touchdowns scored.
I think didn't Iowa have a safety though? That's what I was thinking.
Had two safeties and a field goal.
That's what it was. Yeah.
So
2 safeties and a field goal.
Oh,
that's what it was. Yeah.
No end zones were harmed in the making of that game.
Except the end zones for the safety. And I want to bring up, when you talk about like punting and stuff and getting the defense in a good position, I forgot to mention Jack Campbell, the Butkus Award winner, and he's going to be able to take advantage of some of those things. So I think if they get Kentucky, deep in their end zone, watch for Jack Campbell, and Jack Campbell's going to have a good game regardless. I'm actually hoping he plays on Sundays with my Bears coming up next year. But so that's going to be an interesting thing to watch.
Right. I agree with Anya on that for sure. Jack Campbell, I've got as one of my players to watch. I'm going to talk about here in a little bit. So we'll move on to the quarterbacks. And the quarterbacks in this game, both teams, Iowa's is injured, and then their second string transferred. And then with Kentucky, their first string is opting out because of the NFL, and that's them with about quarterbacks. One that started for South Carolina, and that's Kia Sharon. And then the talk is that Destin Wade is going to start this game at the Music City Bowl, and he's never had a snap, and neither has Iowa's quarterback, Joey.
Well, to be fair,
Labus. Is that right?
Yep.
Labus. He's never had us in college either. So it's going to be very interesting with the quarterback. So go ahead, Hammonds.
Well, to be fair, with Kai Sharon, he was thrown into the fire right out without prior to game time. I mean, Will Levis was injured that week, and they didn't know up until game time if he was going to play or not. And then you tell a kid that he's going out there to play, and he has no experience whatsoever starting. I mean, that wasn't fair to him, to be honest. I mean,
and he didn't do terrible. He had 178 yards. He had a couple of touchdowns. I think he had one pick.
But I think the OC handcuffed him too much because, some of the play calls in that game was atrocious.
Well, that's why he don't have a job right now. So
he's out of a job now. So
yeah, I mean that's why he got fired after 1 year. But that's part of it. So, but the quarterback situation is going to be very interesting in this game. I will say this: both quarterbacks, Destin Wade, if he's the one that starts, and Labus, are mobile quarterbacks and can run. And I have heard that Iowa may be putting in some plays designed for him that is not going to look like what all of us have seen from Iowa over the last 3 or 4 years. So y'all know, they may look a little different. And I'm also being told that Destin Wade gets the start, that there is a likelihood that he's going to be doing some running as well. And if you know from last year, Will Levis done a lot of running, and this year the new OC hired didn't want to do that. So now that he's gone and they're putting in Destin Wade, if Wade does start, I would expect to see some running from the quarterback. So that's kind of my takes. Roberts, what do you say on that? On the quarterback
so you're
situation?
telling me that we're going to see a spread offense with the quarterback running the ball for the for Iowa, or you say that they're going to be running like the wing T?
I think that they are putting in some spread stuff, yes, for Levis.
If they're running the wing T, then that's just on brand.
Pretty soon the quarterback's going to be backing out of the hike. He's going to, like they did back in the day with Hayden Fry.
Yeah, there you go.
You know, it's interesting. You talk about some of these things. As an Iowa fan, we've wanted the offense to look different, to look unpredictable for a while. So I think in that aspect, if it is that way, it'll be entertaining to watch. But you might also have to watch all the turnovers, right? If they're going to be trying some new things, some different things with younger players, there might be a lot of turnovers. As an Iowa fan, it's something I want to see, something different, just some innovative things. And maybe this can be a springboard for next year. Obviously, whoever, if Labus does well in this game, there probably won't be a quarterback controversy, but at least we'll know we have a capable backup. I'm not really sure, how much it'll translate to next year, but that's an interesting development. And that's something as an Iowa fan I've wanted to see for a while.
Well, let's be very clear. Just because a spread offense doesn't make it unpredictable, because you can look at UCF's coach, Gus Malzahn, runs a hurry up, no huddle spread offense, and that is very predictable as to what it is. And that's why he got completely beat to smithereens in the bowl game today. So just because you want to spread doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be.
Yeah, but it's not expected from Iowa. It was my.
I just say,
but I'm just saying, be careful what you wish for.
I'm not thinking, it may do well. Unpredictable we mean like entertaining, right? I mean, Iowa's kind of been 3 and out. Let's punt, let's give it our defense, and all of that. And so if there's some differences that are entertaining, that can maybe highlight some of the wide receivers, running backs, that's what I want to see. I don't know if I want to see Labus running all over the field. I mean, that's a great point, but I want to see some of these other skilled players and see them kind of develop, because that's, they haven't been doing that over the years. And quite frankly, that's kind of what we need. And so that's what I'm worried about even going into next year. We've got a great quarterback, but you want to have these skilled players develop, and you want to see their talent and want to see why, they were brought into Iowa. So that it'll be interesting to see.
Well, so, I mean, you had said that there's only 3 wide receivers, so, on the team right now. So if you're down to 3 wide receivers, you can't expect a whole lot of dropping back and pocket passing. I wouldn't think. I mean, unless you're just going to try to run the ball down Kentucky's throat. I mean, I guess you could try to do that, and just hand it off over and over. So, and I wouldn't put that past Iowa. I'm not saying that. I mean, they could do that. So, you just never know. But I think it's very interesting with the quarterback situation for both of these teams. It's very kind of similar. The one last thing that I will throw in is Hogan was on last year's Iowa team. who played in the Citrus Bowl against Kentucky and lost 20-17. He is now one of the options who might get to play for Kentucky. And there's another little twist for the quarterback situation. He's a former four-star player.
I say, don't tell me he's going to be out there for the victory formation for Kentucky at the end, just to stick it in Iowa.
Yeah, it's possible. I don't really know, but they are saying that they might play all three, which I don't believe. I think that's more of a ploy to try to make Iowa off or whatever. But I do think they might play two. I'm not fully convinced that they'll play quarterbacks. Hammonds, do you think they'll play three quarterbacks?
I doubt it. I think they'll play two. They'll probably play Keaton, Wade, and Sharon. But I think they'll see what Wade's got in the dual threat capability, because when he played in Nashville in high school, he was an absolute star running the football with the ball in his hands.
Yeah, absolutely. That's why I said, he's got some wheels.
But he's also got a good defense he's going against too. So
he does. Iowa's one of the best in the country.
The thing about Iowa, I always watched them over time. They're very sound, and they're very how you say this? They have really good technique.
Fundamentally sound.
Yeah.
When they tackle, they're not out of position. They're always right there at the point of contact. I've always liked that about Iowa. They always play sound football on defense. Now, offense, that's another story, but defensively, they've always had a really good defense.
They have for many, many years.
I'll be honest with you.
Kirk Ferentz has been there 4, I think. And they've been playing good defense for many of these.
I was looking up something.
So my senior year in college in 2000 at Iowa was Ferentz's first year. It's crazy to think.
I'll say this, Phil Parker is a really good defensive coordinator.
Yeah.
I think he
does a great job with them.
He does good with them. He's an older guy, but he's done a really good job there.
Well, and I definitely think that obviously that the defense has kept Iowa in so many games this year. This is the only reason we're in a bowl game. When you think of overall, Jack Campbell, I think, has been huge on that. Now we'll see with some of the people we're missing on defense. I'm sure we'll get to that soon, but I'm interested to see what some of the veteran defensive players do against the young Kentucky quarterbacks, for sure.
All right, guys. Anybody want to add anything? We'll move on to offense and then on to defense on both of these teams.
I want to get off subject right now, real quick.
Okay. What do you got, Roberts?
Yeah, so Arkansas and Kansas has gone into overtime. Both have scored touchdowns in overtime. It is 45-45.
And please do not look at the Twitter mentions tonight. Cal Perry's hair is on fire right now.
Somebody lit it on fire?
People are livid.
They torched him?
Yeah, I know, man. I'm trying not to go there tonight with this. But I know.
Well, I know. I'm just saying, don't look at the mentions because it's bad.
It's really bad. North Carolina leads Oregon 21-14 just before halftime. And Texas
by the way,
Tech
Arkansas was ahead in that
against
game.
Ole Miss. 7. Yes, they were. They were up 31
was ahead in that.
something.
Yeah. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Just
by
so everybody.
By 25. They had a 25 point lead, or 23-point lead, and then
All right, so we're going to start with offense next on these teams, and Iowa's offense. They're honestly pretty bad.
That's an understatement, by the way.
Yeah, I mean,
they've
honestly,
gone against great defenses. There's just great defense in the Big 12. That's what's going on.
They've only hit 2 yards
Big 10.
passing twice all season long, okay? And hit 300 yards overall 3 times. That's it.
Defense is the name of the game in the Big Ten.
Of course, they have stuck with Petrus when 97% of Iowa fans have probably not wanted them to. And then he got hurt at the last game. I think he had surgery, and that's the reason why he's not playing. And, so on the offensive side for Iowa and Andy, you're a fan, so I'll let you a little bit more about it, but it's been bad is all I'm going to say.
Yeah, and it's really been disappointing. We've wasted a fantastic defense, that obviously, could have easily, on what happens on our side of the Big Ten, easily could have gotten us to the Big Ten championship game. Now, I don't know what we would have done in it, but we almost got there, with what we had now.
Right.
But and Petrus he's just been he just hasn't made very decisive decisions, right? And that's been the problem. And I had a chance to go last year to the Northwestern Iowa game in Evanston, and I had a chance to see. That's when Padilla did play, and he was, when he started out in the game, he was decisive, and he made some good plays, and he sparked the offense to just enough offense so then they last year could hold on versus Northwestern, but. The problem with him, he just didn't have the tools necessary to be big time quarterback. And as a fan, we wanted someone else, but Padilla just wasn't it. So
did he really get much of a shot this year, Padilla, or no?
No, but that's probably what they saw in practice. I mean, with what they did last year, he got his shot last year on the road, and I think Kirk, as you probably know, is really he's loyal. He's going to stick with his guys, and he just stuck with Petrus for whatever reason. He's physical. He had the tools. It kind of reminded me of Nate Stanley, it stuck with him. But he was just not making the right decisions. It was something about his confidence. He was hurt or whatever it was. He just wasn't making the right decisions. And it was, and obviously as fans, we've kind of gone on, frustrated with our offensive coordinator and things like that. And you never know, but a lot of it is you have to have the talent. And, I'm sure Petrus is a great guy, but he wasn't getting it done. And so that was frustrating that way. When you have some talent, because we had some offensive talent, Sam Laporta, Keegan Johnson, before he transferred. So we had some of that talent this year, even last year, and it was underutilized. It just wasn't. They couldn't execute, and that falls on the quarterback.
Right. Hammonds, you want to talk about Kentucky's side of the offense stuff?
It's been miserable all year, to be honest. There's been a few good games here and there. The Florida game. I felt like we played good at Ole Miss. I think, now this is just my opinion, and there's a lot of people don't agree with this, but I think we checked out after Ole Miss.
Somewhat.
I mean, I'm not saying we all checked out, but I just think losing the game like they did, I think it was just like a mental thing. Like, instead of being, what was it going to be, 4-0, 5-0? You're basically, you lose that game, then you come
I think
the next
that would have
week,
been 5,
and then you go to was it Tennessee?
No,
South Carolina, I believe, wasn't it? I can't remember, but there was a couple games.
Might have been Mississippi State.
They lost to Ole Miss, and then they come out and they lost 2 there with South Carolina and Tennessee, and it just felt like the season was just kind of on a hanger. And and I tell everybody all the time. Somebody said, "Well, and this is not a knock on Iowa at all, and no disrespect to Iowa, but somebody said, well, why do we have to play Iowa again? And why we have to play these teams? I said, you have a crap year, you get a crap bowl. And that's the way it works. And that's the same thing with Iowa. Iowa had the same issue. And if you would have won a couple of those games, the Ole Miss, say you win the Ole Miss game, say you win the South Carolina game, you're probably sitting at probably where Mississippi State is right now, playing Illinois.
Yeah. Well, I mean, both of these teams lost a game or two and had a down year for what they were expecting.
Well,
both.
Kentucky was ranked the whole year up until what? After Tennessee? They trying to drug them out of the post. But
right.
But so this was one of those seasons where I just kind of was disappointed because there was so much talent that came back, quarterback, receivers, and it was like a flop.
Running back.
Like running back, it just never did develop the way in which Chris Rodriguez was out too. So that had a lot to do with it. Early on in the season, he was suspended, I think. And that kind of – and having to throw him back in there and get used to the offense again, that kind of can make some issues.
I was not really offended up until you said play a better bowl against Illinois.
That just is a weird statement altogether.
It is
a better bowl against Illinois.
Although Iowa should have beaten Illinois. That was another disgusting score. I've shut out of my memory, but they should have beat Illinois. But yeah, I think you're right. I mean, you get some of these games go other way, then you are in a more prestigious bowl. Although it's interesting though. I think with players opting out now, like how much different bowl games are now than they used to be, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm one that if you start with your team, you finish with your team. I'm basically now if you have some injuries or some nagging stuff, and I understand that. I'm not going to sit here and tell you that if you have injuries, I think you should be out there playing. Other than that, though, I'm one that if you start with your team, you finish with your team. And I don't really care about the NFL when it comes to that. No, you're NFL outdated. So, I'm sure you talk NFL stuff. And I'm not saying as far as playing in the NFL, I'm not saying that. I'm saying finish your college and do it the right way. And in my opinion, that would look better to the NFL people than opting out. That's just my opinion. But so Roberts, I'll throw it to you on the whole offense. You got any offensive genius sayings that you want to say up there?
If you score more, you tend to win.
Well, I'm just saying.
This Arkansas,
we're talking
Kansas
about Iowa.
Got real interesting.
We're talking about Iowa and Kentucky and offense. So I just thought you'd have something funny to say.
If you have any offense, you might win the game. Just any, just a little bit.
So go ahead.
Wow. No. Yeah, I was just looking at this thing right here, and Arkansas scored in the second overtime. Kansas just scored, and Arkansas went for 2 and got it. Kansas was going for 2, and Arkansas seemingly had stuffed them at the line, but there is a targeting call. If the call stands, they will get to replay the 2-point try. If it is reversed, then Arkansas wins the game. So this is interesting right now. Yeah. So
yeah.
This is getting tense. But as far as the Music City Bowl and the offense, I mean, look, it just seems to be more. I mean, like everybody's trying something new or trying something different, and it looks like both of these teams are going to have that. So there's going to be a lot of growing pains. So defense is going to probably look better at times, but it also seems like during some of these games, the defense, it's almost like watching the Pro Bowl or watching the NBA, All-Star game where defenses are not allowed to even enter into the thought of anybody. So be very interesting with two offenses that aren't necessarily great going against each other.
Well, the over and under for this game is 31. So that'll tell you something about both teams.
Bet it over. Bet it over.
All right, absolutely bet the over. Yep.
So 17.9 points is what Iowa averaged for the year. In their losses, they averaged 10.8. Getting to 17, 18, 20 points is probably a win, would be my guess. If they get to 20, my guess is it's a win for Iowa. That's my guess. And Kentucky, I think they averaged about 20 or 22, 21, 22. I can't remember now exactly. Points a game down for them. They averaged almost 10 points less. They averaged 32 point something last year with Liam Cohen as the offensive coordinator. And but here's the key. And I'll go back to my keys. I mean, the key is the quarterbacks, and I think that both offenses are going to look a little different in this game. So we don't know exactly what we're going to get from either team when it comes to offense. Now, I'm going to switch to defense here. And on defense, I think we have much better idea of what we're going to get. And I'm going to start this out with Iowa is 6th in the country, points allowed, and Kentucky is 12th in points. So both of these defenses are really good defenses. There's a few opt-outs that could affect things on the defensive side. Carrington Valentine, the boundary corner for Kentucky, has opted out, which could be an issue, could be a problem on the Kentucky side. And I know a safety opted out, I'm pretty sure. Is that for Iowa?
Kevon Merriweather.
Yes. Yep. Yeah, he opted out. So, there is a few opt-outs, but on the defensive side, Jack Campbell is going to be a beast in this game. I am glad to see that Jacques Jones gets him back for Kentucky, middle linebacker, to play in this game. He's missed a few games with injury, and he's going to be a key on the Kentucky side. So, Andy, I'll let you talk about the defense and some of the keys on the defensive side of the ball for Iowa.
Yeah, obviously you brought up Jack Campbell, but in the secondary, I think Cooper DeJean's going to be important. Riley Moss, he got hurt during one of the games, and that really showed. I don't know if that was versus the Nebraska game, but I think Riley Moss, you could really, maybe get a pick. I look at the secondary to get a pick versus these young quarterbacks of Kentucky. I think that might help. I don't know if the offense will be able to do anything with it, but you got some of the young players as well. I'm trying to think. There was a new one, and I can't really pronounce his name. Xavier Nwankpa. If he gets more reps at safety, I think that'll be interesting to see. We've kind of, as Iowa fans, we've been kind of, looking for him. So he may, play a big, factor in the game. I think that'll be something to watch. But that secondary may be able to do something against the young quarterbacks if Kentucky, decides to, try and throw it.
And again, that's why I started the show saying takeaway. I think Kentucky's turnovers versus Iowa takeaways is going to be a major key in this game. So,
as long as Iowa can do something.
What do you think about Kentucky's defense? Right. I mean, yeah, of course. Yeah. I mean, you got overs, so.
I think Kentucky's got a really good defense. They got Jacquez Jones back. They lost Square. He won't be able to play. Because of an injury. But,
right.
But, this whole defense, probably you'll see more on this defensive side in terms of young talent than you will on the offensive side of this game, because there's a lot of guys going to be able to play the defensive side of the ball, with the transfer portal happening.
And Brad White is a really, really good defensive coordinator.
He is.
He is.
I think before it's over, Deion Walker, the nose tackle,
he's absolutely
be a top 10 pick, top 15 pick in the NFL.
Well, he's a true freshman, so he's got a couple of years, but still, yeah, absolutely.
He had an unbelievable year last year, and Justin Rogers is getting better, but there was kind of some murmuring if he was going to transfer or not, but I haven't heard anything back. But
I haven't heard anything.
He had posted something kind of cryptic on his Twitter, and I didn't. It kind of looked like he was maybe leaving or something, but you know how them guys do on Twitter, they do that stuff. But
that I would say that's interesting. You bring up that with the defensive line, Kentucky, because Iowa's offensive line has had issues this year. They're young, and you lose a first round talent center last year, and so that could really he could really cause havoc for the Iowa offense. And if you're getting Iowa's offense, off right away, just up the middle. I mean, I think that might be interesting to watch as well.
Right, and that could be a key as far as Iowa on the defensive side. Roberts, what do you say on the defensive side of for these two teams? I mean, the defense is what carry these teams. So, what do you say?
Well, when you got two teams that have pretty darn good defenses facing off against each other, you just want to see if any one of them can actually provide some of the offense, kickstart the offense. So whether that is a defensive score or that is a takeaway inside the opponent's red zone or anything like that. Yeah, so something that sets it up so the offense has a real quick or real easy score. So that's going to be something to look for with the defenses. And that right there is what I'd really be paying attention to, is if any of them can wreak enough havoc to cause the other team to slip up.
So. Right. And I think those are going to be keys to the game, turnovers and stuff. And that's especially key turnovers where you either get a defensive score or like in the red zone for an easy score, convert. Those for either team is going to hurt either team. So, if Kentucky gets one, it's going to hurt Iowa. If Iowa gets one, it's going to hurt Kentucky. That's the turnover battle is going to be a major key, I believe, in this game. So we'll talk a little bit about special teams. My take on teams is the Iowa punter, the field. He's really good at pinning opponents deep, and he averages 45 yards a punt. On special teams for Kentucky, the long snapper has been an issue all year long. Snapping has been an issue, so that's something to watch in this game for Kentucky. And then the last thing I'll mention on special teams is Barryon Brown. He's a burner, and he is somebody in the return game that could make something happen in this game that breaks some backs. So
Yeah, don't depend on a game-winning field goal from this bunch.
Don't depend on anything.
No. Yeah. No,
Arkansas
but Barry
wins as they
Brown
failed.
might make a statement.
Hey, listen. It's pretty bad when you lose a game like Missouri did on a punt. The game that we roughed.
Which Missouri game are you referring to? Because I can name a couple of them in which they lost where it looked really, I don't know, bad, and it was special teams that was the cause of it.
Yeah.
Because you do have the Auburn game where they completely missed a extra point,
chip shot,
so to speak.
Yeah. What was it? And then they was going in for a touchdown. They fumbled the ball.
Fumbled the ball as they were crossing the goal line.
Yeah.
Wow. Right.
By the way, Arkansas won in what is PKs for American football.
Okay. So, special teams, like I said, with Iowa, I mean, flipping the field.
I'll be back. Be back in just a second.
And pinning Kentucky deep in own territory is going to be a key in this game. If that can happen a lot in this game, not going to be good for Kentucky. So, Kentucky needs to keep their offense on the field as much as possible in this game. And I don't even necessarily mean that they have to score each time. I think if they are, getting 8, 9, 10 plays and have to punt and keeping them pinned back more on offense instead of Kentucky being pinned back and more plays and keeping Iowa's defense on the field, I think that's going to be a key too. So, Andy, what do you think?
Gone are the days of Jared Lorenzen, huh?
Yeah, hefty lefty.
Hefty lefty. Yeah, I absolutely. And as an Iowa fan, I've been dreaming of offense that it's going to move the ball, that's going to have the big quick plays, but with this game, with the way this team is built right now, it's almost like the teams almost mirror each other right now, right? I think you're going to need to you just draw it out and continue to convert third downs and continue to move that ball and chip away. And maybe Iowa does have winning field goal at the end, but when you have teams that just don't have the the experienced talent, that's what's going to happen, and that's what you need.
Right. And I think when he was saying not going to have a winning field goal, I think he meant on the Kentucky side, because we've had
that's what I was thinking. Iowa hopefully may.
Yeah, but we've had some major issues. Not really with the kicker
right there.
The kicker, it's been more snapping and putting the hold on and stuff like that is really what it's been with. Now the kicker has had 3, 4, 5 of them blocked because of bad snaps and everything else. So what
you're saying is it has to get to the point where the kicker actually can
kick the ball. Yeah.
It never makes it to that point. You got to be successful to that point.
What's that guy's name? What did you say your name was? I forgot.
Andy.
Andy. Yeah.
Did you see my beautiful Dallas Cowboys hoodie?
Hey, you know what? Beautiful and Dallas Cowboys. It's tough to put those in the same sentence, though, right?
He is the Bears.
Hey, try being a Bears.
Right, so if you're a Bears fan, what are you talking about? I hate to tell you, but John Roberts and I are both Packers fans. So
there you go. Brad gets on me. He's like, "You always have to bring up the Cowboys." I said, "Well, the reason why is I'm probably one of the big." I'll tell you a quick story about this, real funny, real quick. I always told him,
never quick.
I was telling him I was always a big Dallas Cowboys fan ever since I was little. Well, he sees a picture of me when I was a kid wearing an Emmitt Smith jersey at a Christmas.
I didn't know it was him, but I seen it was his family, and it was a little kid in there, a young kid in there with a Dallas Cowboy Emmitt Smith jersey on, and I automatically knew.
And it was a Cowboy hat. You had to look real close. It was a Cowboy. It was an Emmitt Smith Cowboys hat too.
I automatically knew who it was.
Somebody said, "How have you been a fan of them that long with the way they've been?" I said, "Let me tell you something. I lived through the Dave Campbell era. I lived through the Chan Gailey days. I said, this is nothing compared to those days."
Well, I don't know. Coach-wise, that could kind of mess things up this year. I'm actually rooting for the Cowboys as long as they beat the Packers somehow. So
here's the thing about the Cowboys.
Yeah, that
they can get me to the playoffs, and we can win the NFC East every once in a blue moon. I'm all right with it. But eventually, do I want to get a Super Bowl again? Yeah, because we haven't won one since '95. They had Larry Brown, they had Troy Aikman, Emmitt Smith, Michael Irvin. They got rid of Alvin Harper then, but I think he went to Tampa Bay. I still think that was a regret letting him walk. Alvin Harper was probably the second best receiver next to Michael Irvin. So,
yeah.
But off the NFL thing, if you're ever down for me to come on one of your shows, man, and talk Cowboys, hit me up, man.
He can talk Cowboys.
I can talk Cowboys. I could name you every single lineup from 1994.
Hey, playoffs are coming up. We'll probably be able to talk Cowboys, just not Packers stuff. So, right?
If you want us to beat the Vikings,
I like that.
Gotta beat the Vikings.
Idea.
Just beat the Vikings.
We got to beat the Vikings this week.
But
That's
you know
right.
what's funny about
take
that?
down the central, the North champs.
But you know what the thing?
I'll tell you what's
Packers,
real funny is we keep beating the Cowboys in the regular
in
season
the most
every
absurd
year.
ways too. The most absurd ways, like shouldn't do it, but it happens.
Here's one quick fact about the Packers. If the Packers win out, all Washington has to do is lose one game, and that's it.
Right.
Correct.
And the Packers get
make
in.
the playoffs. That's what I'm saying. And Washington don't have an easy road the last 3 games.
Well, the Packers don't have an easy way of getting in. They still got to play the Vikings, which
I know that, but they play them good though. That's
yeah. We'll see.
Well,
but anyways,
I'd say like the Packers dipping out of the playoffs. I got to dip out here soon.
All right, man. My players to watch on this are Sam Laporta and Jack Campbell for Iowa. I think Sam Laporta, because of their few wide receivers, that having Sam Laporta back for in the tight end room is going to be huge for them. That's going to be one of their main targets as far as passing would be my guess. And of course, Jack Campbell. I mean, he's a Big Ten Defensive Player of the Year. So I mean, he's going to be a monster in the middle there. And then for Kentucky, I got Berrien Brown, and then I'm going to throw somebody out that most people probably wouldn't think of. I'm going to throw Keydron Smith. He's a safety, and with an experienced quarterback for Iowa, he can be a ball hunter, and I think that it's possible that he could make a key play.
I'm gonna name you a quick player to watch for Iowa, and not so much this game, but for later on, maybe his NFL career, is Jennings Ducker.
Mm-hmm.
He's a guard.
Yeah.
I'm not saying I think he's the number one guard. He stepped into the number one row after I think one of them left or got injured maybe. And I think he's a really good player. He's not really had his moment to shine, to be honest.
Yep.
And I think he's going to get an opportunity in this bowl game. And Iowa, if you think about the NFL draft and what Iowa's done in the offensive line category, there's been some heck of an offensive lineman be drafted at Iowa.
Absolutely agree on that. Yep. I just want to say one thing. I did have one player before I need to duck out here. I agree with you on those other players for Iowa, but Nico Reganey could have a long touchdown pass, and it could go either way. He could either get that, or Joe Labas could throw it out to him. It could be picked off.
They're really going to miss Arlen, the wide receiver.
Arlen Bruce.
He's their main guy, and I think that's going to force them to maybe run the ball a lot more. Now, if he was there, I think you would see more pass plays to him. But
that's why in the past, Reganey has had some big plays, so they may, obviously try to, something with him being a little bit of a veteran. So, but I definitely appreciate you guys letting me on. I do got to bounce. I appreciate it, and go Hawks.
What kind of prediction you got for us before that?
I'm gonna say, I'm gonna say Iowa's gonna win, and it's gonna be a 17-13 game.
Yeah, it's going to be low scoring.
Shoot the bow and arrow.
But then when we say that,
target in the middle,
when we say that it's going to be low scoring, ends up being a barn burner. So
could be.
Right.
You never have predictions right. I mean, during this whole bowl season, I've crunched all these bowls numbers down, and I'm probably 1 for 2 for 8 or 9 right now. I'm not doing really good. And Brad's over smiling like he's got his.
Thanks again, guys.
I've been doing pretty good.
Yeah.
All right, Andy, we appreciate you being on with us, man. It was fun, man. Let's do this again. Maybe we'll be on your show sometime or something.
Let's do it. Thanks again, guys.
Have a good one, man.
All right. Thank you. Thanks, Andy.
Real quick.
Hey, man, that was fun, guys.
Real quick before we get to the ending of this show, can we just speak on what's happening with Kentucky basketball right now?
Are you going on a diatribe?
I was going to try not to bring it up, but
I want to rant.
Before you go on this rant here, Texas Tech and Ole Miss update. It is 10-7 Texas Tech. Ole Miss just got penalized for a targeting.
Let's save that for tomorrow night.
I know. I just want to say one thing out of all this. What has happened to Kentucky basketball, though? That's the question. That's what we need to put it at. That's the question.
I agree with you 100%.
So, all
right. So we were kind of going over the players.
I'll save my rant tomorrow. We'll do that tomorrow.
Okay. So my little extra tidbit on this Iowa-Kentucky game, the Music City Bowl, is this. I looked over the 2-deep depth chart for Kentucky for this game. There are 32 players listed on the 2-deep that are either sophomores, straight sophomores, not redshirt, sophomores, redshirt freshmen, or freshmen.
Yeah, it's unreal.
There are 32 players. 12 of those players have barely played or not played at all that are listed on the 2-deep for this Music City Bowl.
Oregon and North Carolina's playing. It's a really good football game right now.
So they're young. Kentucky, they're going to have a whole lot of young players playing in this game. So we're going to find out a little bit about the future, I think, in this game, and just how tough they are, how much talent they have. And 2 of them are listed for the first time in the wide receivers as backups, Jordan Anthony and Brandon White, and they were both track stars in high school. And watch out, I'm telling you, they can run like a 10.2 in the 100. So they both can flat burn. If they get on the field, there is nobody on Iowa's defense is going to be able to keep up with them. If Destin Wade can just throw it out there, or Sharon. So that's kind of some of my last little things that I had for this game. Y'all want to do a prediction? I know Andy said he had Iowa at 17-13.
I'll do it quick. I'll do a quick one because I got a spin.
All right.
Kentucky wins this game 20-17. I think Kentucky hit the mute button. I think Kentucky will trail in this game at some point. And I think their defense will come through with a big play to win the game. I think, I told even Andy on this, I think it's going to be the type of game where Kentucky's going to run. I mean, yeah, they got Barry and Brown, they got Dan Key, they got some weapons, but they don't have the air attack that they have with Levis. Is what I'm trying to get at. But I think they'll put it in the air some. I just don't think it'll be as much.
If Destin Wade's playing, I think Destin Wade will run a lot.
I think Destin will run a lot.
I
think
I'd
like to see. You don't like to see first play. Kentucky gets the ball. He runs 180 yards for a touchdown right off the bat.
Yeah, man, it would be good. I really feel like Destin is probably going to run some especially if he starts. Yeah. And another quick tidbit on Destin Wade. Destin Wade is from Nashville, and so is Barry and Brown. They're both from Nashville, and they're both true freshmen. They were both 5-star stars in the Nashville area, and for them to go back to the Music City Bowl and have a chance to play like this is really special for them too. Really special.
Well, boys, you have a great night, and go Cats, and I'll see you tomorrow night on the pod.
All right. We'll do that Kentucky basketball thing.
It's going to be a rant. It's going to be a rant tomorrow.
All right.
You better be ready for it.
I've already had a couple. I have.
Go Cats.
All right, man. We'll see you. Roberts, what kind of prediction you got?
I'm going with the Hawkeyes, and the only reason why I'm doing that is because they actually have an Avenger.
An Avenger?
Yeah, because they're the Hawkeyes.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's true.
It's always good when the Hawkeyes play the Wolverines, because then you have the MCU just trying to eat itself.
I think this game is going to be a toss-up either way. I think that it's probably going to go back and forth. I think you'll see one team ahead early, and then the other team like in the third, and then the other team will go ahead in the fourth, and it's probably going to be back and forth. And Kentucky pulled it out last year. And there's probably a chance that Iowa is the one that pulls it out, but because I'm a Kentucky fan, I am going to say Kentucky wins it like 21-17, something like that. But I really do believe Iowa is favored 2.5 points in this game. The over-under is 31, which Andy said 17-13, which would be the under, even though he had said earlier take the over. I just want to kind of throw that in there, but it's been fun doing this. I do want to say to everybody, I kind of posted about maybe the chance that Brian Ferentz would be on here, the OC for Iowa. It is a busy bowl week, and I didn't say this on the air, so we were trying, and it just didn't work out. So we want to say that on the air before we get off the live stream here. So that's kind of what happened. And Robert, you got anything else you want to throw out?
Nope, not right at the moment here. Yeah, we just got a bunch of bowl games going on, and all of them are very wacky. Very
and so tomorrow night we're going to try to do our game day pick'ems. And do the big bowl games. We had done them up through tomorrow last week. So we're going to do a show tomorrow night and start on Friday, which will cover, the Peach Bowl and the Fiesta Bowl, the college football playoffs, and all the big bowls. And we're going to run through the next week. So that's going to be a big show tomorrow night. And we look forward to doing that. And we'll have some more updates. I know that he said Arkansas did pull that game out over Arkansas pulled it out over Kansas.
Correct. They Kansas looked like they had just a bad play called for their 2-point try and threw it out of the back of the end zone, and that ended up costing them the game. It was it. It was bad, and
Yeah.
But
we will. We're glad you've been on with us, and we will see you guys tomorrow night. Okay.
All right.
Y'all have a good night.